and they still have no idea what you're about. Tell me in a sentence who you are.
Nobody. I'm nobody. I'm a tramp, a bum, a hobo. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. And a straight razor if you get too close to me.
You know, you were sentenced to the gas chamber and then they modified the death penalty. Were you happy when that was done?
Was I happy when what was done?
When you found out that you weren't going to the gas chamber?
How long have I been in jail? 34 years? 34 years, so...
Out of 47, you've been here 34.
I've been in jail, prison, a long time, all my life. I was raised up in here. So I understand jail. So I understand myself and I can deal with that. I set my cell and I do my number, like a convict does his number. But there's different colors on different people's backs doing different things. It's a different world. I love the world I live in, too, just like Regan loves the world he lives in.
You love the world you live in?
Most assuredly, it's me.
You love all the pain that you've caused people, all the anguish you've caused.
I don't...
Written accounts indicate that you told the authorities, don't let me out. I can't cope with the outside world. Do you have a recollection of that?
And you make a desperate plea out of something, man. There's no desperate plea out of it. I say I can't handle the maniacs outside. Let me back in.
I didn't use the word desperate. That's your word, Charles.
Yeah, well, your inflection and your voice tones were implications there.
Well, you use the word maniacs on the outside. How are you different from the maniacs on the outside? And why do you call them maniacs? Because you know something, they think you are one.
Yeah, it would reflect. If you hold the negative up to the light, you don't see the light, you just see the negative. So I'm a reflection of your negative, there's no doubt about that, and I can handle that also. I've been handling, ain't I?
I don't know, have you?
Well, I've been up and down these damn hallways, in and out of these nut wards for the last 10 years. You think you could follow that act? I'm playing for my life. You working for money.
When you say you're playing for your life, am I to assume that you think that someday you're going to get out of here?
Get out of here. Get out of here. Where would I go now? See.
What would you do if you got out of here?
If I got out of here.
What if they said to you tomorrow morning, Charles, hey, listen, you're free. You can go wherever you want to go. Do whatever you want to do. What would you do?
I'll probably go out front on the grass and sit down. So, Rose, how are you?
How are you?
I've been watching you on the tube.
What do you think?
Everything.
Nothing. You sit here.
How's your day going?
Day's going nice. The weather here is much better than the weather in Washington, D.C. We left 4 inches of snow. And I got out here and they said this is record warm temperatures.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous. I've been locked up in the hole a long time. So for me to come out of that cell, it's a whole brand new experience.
And what's the prison routine like for you?
I sit in my cell 24 hours a day.
Do you read?
No.
Why not?
Well, I found my thoughts are more interesting than anything I can read.
Watch any television?
Occasionally.
What do you watch?
I watch, I spin it around a lot. I watch a little bit of everything.
Listen to radio?
When I have one, yeah.
Have any friends you talk to?
I'm friend to everything I see, everything I know, everything I feel.
What about other inmates?
I'm brother in these hallways for 40 years with no snitching on my jacket, no asking for nobody to protect me, and walking on my own 2 feet.
You get a lot of mail.
Yeah.
What do they say? Those letters.
Everybody's playing a different game with the thought. They're playing boats and planes and trains and rabbits and ducks and swings and hearts and little girls and everything that you can think of. When we started the rainbow, all the thoughts that go with the seed grows up from the ground. Everything that grows starts and grows up. You go down in the earth to plant something, and you plant these seeds, and this garden grows. It's the same thing with the garden that's in the mind.
I want to talk about that, but let me stay with the routine, the facts of your life for a while. What about the scorpions? You make scorpions?
I make little things out of string.
Where do you send them?
Everywhere. Wherever they fit.
Does somebody pay you for them?
No.
Why scorpions?
Well, it's not only scorpions. I make all kinds of things. You know, scorpions is just one of the things that I happen to make. I'm spiritually allied with the scorpion and the wolf. See, spiritualism scares you people because you've got this little stereotype church that you're buying and selling, and you're trying to put God in a building. But God is much bigger than that little church. You know, and spiritualism is a lot more than they put in libraries and books.
Yeah, most religious people know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm allied with certain awarenesses of the desert, you know.
What do you miss most being in that cell?
I miss having my music because some egomaniac wants to feel important, and they keep my music away from me.
Your music is your guitar.
Yeah.
Well, they say if they give you a guitar, they got to give everybody a guitar.
That's an excuse. That's a total cop-out. I got a big jealous snake I have to deal with every day. A big, inadequate, incompetent, jealous snake that has no mind, that has no soul.
Is that a person?
It's just wound up with money. You could pay him to walk backwards. You buy them and sell them. They're in Wall Street.
When we sit here and talk to you, people wonder, where did Charlie Manson come from? What are your earliest memories?
I come from the heart of Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra.
But what does that mean?
Tom Mix.
Those were the people that you listened to as a child?
Yeah, Roosevelt. I come from the hills of Kentucky. I come from hard times, bologna for Sunday dinner. I come from the Depression.
You come from not knowing your father?
I know my father. My father's all men.
Yeah, but your biological father you don't know.
Section 8. All the discharged men of the Second World War raised me. Ferguson was an ensign in the Navy. He raised me. All the guys that came back from the war raises all the kids that are locked up in prisons.
What about your mother?
Mother is the icebox.
Yeah.
She's the penitentiary. One of my first recollections is walking in Moundsville State Prison, West Virginia. Big gray stone place. And I come to visit my mom. She was doing time there.
For what?
Strong-arm robbery. Trying to make some food, put some food on the table and give me an operation when I was a child.
That's your first, one of your earliest memories?
Yeah, I remember that. That was
Are there happy memories?
I I don't have that.
You don't have that?
I don't have that yin and yang that you do.
Is that yin yang?
Yeah, in other words, you can't make me unhappy.
Are sad memories, though, growing up?
I don't have all that.
Yeah. You do have it. You have an experience. You're an individual, one human being with experiences.
When you leave, go get a big rock and set it on the table.
Yeah.
I'm that rock on the table. It's a game of paper. It's all on paper. I've got a production company, and I've got a recording company, and I've got a mansion in Beverly Hills, and I've got Rolls Royces and Ferraris. I've got everything money can buy, but it's all on paper. Everything's done through the companies and through the tax loopholes, and the people that live on that level, they don't care about the average honest mule that just goes back and forwards to work. They don't care about the children that are in the streets that are thrown out of this upper echelon of existence. Do you really care? Who does care? And if anybody cares, they're considered crazy. I've been 15 years in the nut ward for trying to stop the trees from being cut down, from trying to rearrange a lifestyle of a bunch of people who don't want to change. But they're going to change because the cold wind is blowing. You're going to change or there's going to be no life left on the planet Earth. And then there's a bunch of little people that are always trying to play act some sort of importance over the truth about what is rolling on the planet Earth now. For 20 years we've tried to find intelligent life forms in the United States of America, but didn't seem to be any there. It was all bought and paid for. These guys that sell themselves for that paycheck, they don't exist outside that paycheck.
Why are you mad?
I'm mad at people taking my life.
Putting you in prison?
No, taking my life.
What do you mean?
Well, when you're cutting the trees down, you're taking my life. When you're polluting the water, you're taking my life. I look out for wildlife. I'm trying to redeem my trees. I have an organization called ATWA rolling now, trying to redeem life on the planet Earth from the people that destroy it.
Tell me more about that. Who's destroying the Earth and why?
The things that we do as human beings that are accepted and called right 100 years ago have changed. Years ago we could cut down trees and we could afford an exuberant lifestyle. We can't afford that no more. We're running out of atmosphere. We're running out of water. Our water's becoming so poisoned and so polluted we're not going to be able to drink it. The trees are being cut down so fast, lumber companies are just... The United States is owned by foreign corporations. Nixon opened it up for foreign trade. And when Nixon opened up for foreign trade, the people of Europe and the common market and Spain and different places, they don't care about the United States forest. And in short, the United States has been sold out by people who really don't care for anything but money. All we're trying to do is do what's right. But doing what's right in a world full of people that don't know what right is, it's difficult because you got so many interpretations and so many different people in different directions. You've got 1,000 Jesuses, you've got 1,000,000 devils, you've got 25,000 Napoleons, you got every kind of insanity going in the world coming. And ATWA also means at war, if you put an R on the end of it.
At war with what?
Pollution. Pollution. A revolution against pollution.
So you're telling me all these people think that you hate the blacks and you hate the Jews and you kill people and all you're really trying to do is stop pollution?
All the time it's been the same thing. Whatever people put on me is what they're trying to play themselves on their level.
Tell me once again, I didn't quite get it, why the American Nazi Party sign on your forehead?
When those 8 people were killed in Uganda, when that plane was skyjacked and Idi Amin was put in the position to rule Africa, I was in that episode. And that's the only way I could save my head. Because there was a lot of violence, a lot of fear, a lot of bloodshed was going on in those days and times. We seen the world. Don't you remember when the Lord knows when the cold wind blows, it'll turn your head around? Well, we were all in that thought, trying to change the world, you know. And you can't say, well, the Jews are the chosen children of God, and these Germans are no good because their forefathers fought. No. The Germans are no worse than the Jews. And the blacks are no worse than the Mexicans. And the Mexicans are no worse than the Filipinos. And the Filipinos are no worse than the Chinese. So how do you reach a one with that whole circle? How do you reach a one with that whole circle? How do you have peace on this earth? You can't have peace on this earth unless you let Second World War die. You want to keep the Second World War going? You want to keep selling and buying Germans and dead Indians on TV every day? You know, that's got to stop. The Second World War's got to stop. And it's got to stop in the Jews. The Jews won't let the Second World War stop. They keep the Second World War going. They keep it going. They keep it going. They keep perpetuating it because they're making money. As soon as the Second World War was over, they never stopped the brainwash. The brainwash that they were selling the American public was making money. You see what I'm saying? They were making money. They're not going to stop making money. If the combination's there to make money, they're going to keep selling it. They'll sell it all the way till I'm in the cell with a guy named Millman, Jerry Millman. And he's got pictures of Hitler and Japanese and things all. I said, boy, Hitler must have been a hell of a guy. He said, Hitler was terrible. I hate him. I hate him. I said, why do you hate him? He said, I'm a Jew. I said, well, why do you enshrine this guy? Is he your daddy? And he looked up to his mother's fear. And his mother's fear was Hitler. Hitler was like his father figure. He loved Hitler, but he hated Hitler. He needed Hitler to hold him up. Because Hitler was holding his hate up. Because without his hate, he didn't exist. He didn't have no reason to live unless he had some hate. He didn't have any reason to buy and sell unless the money held him up. If you took the money away from him, you took the hate away from him, he'd be gone. So how do you communicate to a whole group of people? You stand up and you take the worst fear symbol there is and say, there, now I've got your fear. Now I've got your fear. And your fear is your power, and your power is your control. I'm your king of this whole planet. I'm going to rule this whole world through Atwa. I want my trees put back. I want my water clean. I want my atmosphere cleaned up. What you do beyond that, I don't care what church you go to or what race you are, what color you are, what and all that nickel and dime personal important trash head stuff. I don't care about that. All I care about is my air, my water, my trees, and my wildlife. And you humans, if you don't get in line with that, goodbye.
Here's another newspaper account that you can now speak to since you haven't done it before. That on the night following the killings at the house on Cielo Drive in Los Angeles, you accompanied 4 people to a home occupied by Mr. and Mrs. Leo LaBianca.
Yeah.
That you went inside that house and you tied them up and assured them that they were not going to be hurt. That you went back outside and sent Kasabian and Krenwinkel and Watson and Atkins inside the house to kill them. True or false? Did you do that? Chair's getting hot, huh? Did you do that?
Did I kill anyone?
No. Did you go in and tie up the LaBiancas that night? Very simple question.
That night.
August 10th, 1969.
That night. August the 10th,
Did you?
1969.
Why duck it? Why dodge it? Why not answer it yes or no once and for all? Put it behind you.
Did I kill anyone?
Did you tie up the LaBiancas? Atkins testified you did.
That's what Susie said?
That's what she said.
Yeah.
And you remember, you were in the courtroom when she said it.
She's written 3 books, and each time she said something different. Each time.
Did you tie him up?
Did I? Well, we came down from Abilene, and
Let's stay in Los Angeles, August 10, 1969.
there was a hole in the wall gang there.
Why don't you want to talk about it, Charles? Why don't you want to?
Because I'm an outlaw, and I go so far, and then that's all you know.
And if you did,
That's like asking Jesse James.
and if
did you
and if
shoot somebody?
and if, as others have written and as others have testified and as the media has reported, you did that,
Yeah.
and you sent your friends back in to do the deed, aren't you a coward?
My friends back in to do the terrible deed.
Doesn't
The
that make
wicked
you?
deed. Ta-da. Did we have the castle there with the vampires and the Frankenstein and the bugs and lizards dying in the deserts? Did we have the water that's dying and the whales are being killed and the seals are
Here
dying?
we go again. Lay it off on somebody else. Let's
Well,
point to all the other injustices.
I'm in the world all by myself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on this one you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was okay, if that's the way you see it for you.
You've never talked about this before, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to try it one more
Yeah.
time.
Uh,
Pull
no,
the cards out.
now,
I'm asking- you can see them when I'm
You
finished.
got a pistol on you?
No, sir. They wouldn't let me in here if I had a pistol. You
Yeah.
know that as well as I do, so why even ask the question, okay?
Well, I just thought you might not like what I'd done. You want to do something about it.
I don't much care for what you've done.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. How do you feel
Yeah.
about that? A lot
Well-
of people think you're a monster, Charles. How do you
Yeah,
feel?
they think you're a monster because you reflect this news media on me. Cult leader. I never had long hair before I got busted. I never had a beard before I got busted. I went to shave, and the guy said, no, you can't shave. And I said, I need a razor to shave. He said, no, you can't shave. I said, let me get a haircut. He said, no, we don't want you to change your appearance. They said I had a great family, and I was the following and leaders and all that. There was no followers and leaders, a bunch of kids out the ranch playing. To me,
Playing at what?
playing and living.
Besides the son that you had in your marriage, you've got, what, 4 other children somewhere?
Oh, I don't think I've been responsible for as much as you people want to lay on me.
All right, somewhere out there, somewhere, there's at least one son that we know of that's your child, who's probably about 25 or 26 years old. You talk to that kid. What are you going to say to him?
You got to catch it on your own, boy. Train's hard. The road's rough.
And that's it.
That's all I knew. That's all anyone ever told me.
All right.
And you want to hear something?
Yeah?
He'll do it better than me.
Do what?
Whatever he does, he'll do it a little better. Kids do, don't they?
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's what makes them such a gas. They always seem to get through.
How were you in school? I hear that you weren't too good, but maybe I heard wrong.
Depends on which school. I did very well in reform school.
Yeah.
I did good in every place that I was ever told to do good in. I've been an outlaw ever since I was born. I went to reform school when I was about 10, and I learned to box and cry, and I learned to do all the things that you do in reform school. Then I went to, I escaped there a bunch of times, and I went to prison, and I learned everything that you do in prison. And I talked to all the guys and asked them everything they knew, and they told me all the things they knew. And then I went to the end of it, and then the old man would be ready to die, and he'd say, well, son, sincerity is the best gimmick, remember that. And I said, all right, be sincere, that'll win it. He said, that's it. Sincerity and honesty, he said, it'll do it. It'll trick them every time. I said, well, sincere and honesty, I never tried that. I tried everything else, but maybe I'll try sincere and honesty. So then I looked in the book, and it says, the wages of sin is death. Now I figured, well, I don't want to die, so maybe I have been sinful here. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'll take a look at my life and say, well, I'm going to change it and start all over. You know, and I know I go to God and I say, hey, man, you're going to forgive me? And he's going to say, what do? You forgive you? I mean, what'd you come to me for? Forgive yourself, man. Don't be bothering me.
How do you feel about spending the rest of your life in prison?
Well, we're all our own prisons. We each are our own wardens, and we do our own times. We get stuck in our own little trips, and we kind of judge ourselves the way we do. You know, I can't judge nobody else. The best thing I can do is try to judge myself and live with that.
Let's assume that one day you were paroled. Let's just...
Paroled?
Well, let's just make believe. Do you ever think you will be?
Yeah, do I ever think I will be? Well, I've never been paroled before. I went up to the board, and they never would. They said I was incorrigible. And not only was I incorrigible, but that I'd never grow up. And I kind of agreed with them.
If you got out tomorrow, do you have any scores to settle on the outside?
Scores? Do I have any scores out there? And we're making believe, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, buddy. Well, I don't rightly know. I'm stupid to the point to where I'm not really sure.
Believe it or not, there are a lot of people on the outside that think about the possibility of you coming out of here, and they're genuinely scared of you.
Oh, boy, I might just make dust, everything, terrible. One little guy, terrible. Ooh. Boy, how insecure are we as human beings? Put all our fear on one little guy and afraid to let him out. He might break all the toys.
Why do you say little guy?
Because I'm not the guy you trying to make out of me. That's not me. I don't know what my way is. Everybody keeps telling me I got all these things. I read the other day where I had magical powers, and I told everybody in the chapel, I said, zap, 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 zap. I said, where's my magical powers? Well, you can't read, you can't believe what you read in the press. I can get no magical powers, mystical trips, and all that kind of crap. Yeah, it's kind of silly. Yeah, I'm getting witches and devils, and one guy come up and said, I heard you said you were Jesus. I said, no, man, I ain't said nothing. He said, I'm glad. He said, I'm damn glad. I said, why? He said, I know you ain't him. I said, how do you know? He said, because I am. I said, okay. But I mean, you know, I've been in the nut ward for 10 years, so you can't expect me to rationally take this thing serious.
When you were 16, you were out on your own, you were making money on your own.
Yeah, but
you were in trouble with the law.
Yeah, but you got to realize when I was 16, it's not like people that you would think is 16.
Why is that?
Well, a person that's raised on the street is 16 years old is generally about 55 in their minds.
Because they see so many experiences so quick.
You know, they've been through more life and death situations, and they've been through 10 times more than the average person sitting there doing what their mother says, going back and forwards to school. In other words, life is not in a school book.
Yeah. Do you want to look back at that early period of your life and before the 60s and say, boy, something went wrong because I got on this track and I was in and out of prison, you know, and I went to foster homes, and then my mother would take me, then I'd go see my grandmother, then I'd go back and see my mother, and then she would run away, and somehow. Did that shape you? Did it make a difference?
Well, see, that doesn't even compute in my world because, like, there is no wrong.
There's no wrong?
I don't do any wrong. I wouldn't do anything that was wrong. If I did something that I would regret, then I would punish myself for it. And I wouldn't stand here and beat myself in the head with a hammer. That wouldn't make much sense.
Yeah.
You know, so you got a parallel universe. You got two worlds. One world, everything is a lie and everything is wrong and you can never do anything right. According to anybody else, I've never done anything right. There's always been someone to say that I wasn't right and I did it wrong.
Yeah.
But in the world that I live in, I've never made a bad move in my whole life.
In the world you have lived in,
sure,
you would not rewrite any episode, you would not change anything, you do not look back and say, my God, I took a wrong turn there.
No.
None of it?
No. No.
Not once?
I wouldn't be here if I'd had it. So you got to realize there's no slack in my act.
Yeah.
I don't have I can't. In other words, you go down to St. Louis,
right,
and you get off the bus and you're broke. Right. You go to the phone and call moms.
Right.
I don't. I go to the alley and get a tire iron.
And do what?
And whatever I got to do to survive. That's what I do.
And so what's the difference in you and me then?
Because you don't know how to survive. You're weak. You have emotions. You play little games with your mind. You chase your tail.
Yeah, but you know, you have said before about your life that you needed love, and you needed family, and you needed friends, and that's the one thing that every man needs.
No, you misunderstood. I never said anything like that. You might paraphrase what I said into thinking I said something like that. Everything is love. There's nothing that isn't love. Even the confusion is love in one form or another. It's misguided. Love is a word that we use to supplement for God, or I would rather use the word intelligence. If you're going to use the word love, use the word intelligence. Because love is misunderstood in so many different ways and fashions.
Do you need to be loved?
Loved? I am loved.
By whom?
I am loved.
Are you loved?
I am loved.
Are you loved?
All the way.
Okay.
I'm around the world with it. Ain't you seen it? Just 15 times. Standing in the fire with it, man.
Meaning what?
Meaning I'm taking up all the slack for you. I'm carrying you around, Nixon.
Yeah.
I still got you. Hey, Regan, hey, Ronnie, I didn't tell him that was your gun that shot that guy. I didn't tell him that gun came out of that trailer that came over there. I held my butt on you, Ronnie, old crime partner.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? In other words, I'm intertwined in your very soul, man. You give me my rights. My father died in the battlefields for my rights. Then I go down to L.A. and some district attorney wants to get rich and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's got something that's selling good. He dumps it over on me. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's only one poor guy down here. He's nobody. And they overlook the fact that I had already been brother in this penitentiary for 22 years. I speak big in that yard out there.
But did they overlook that fact or not?
Sure, they overlooked it.
Well, how did they overlook it?
They took my rights, man.
Yeah.
You don't take my rights. You'd rumble the graveyard from here to the unknown
But
soldier.
you respect power, and the system works this way. The state has power, and if, in fact, you violate the laws of the state, they have the power to put you away.
Sure.
You respect that?
Sure, I did for 22 years.
That's right.
That's why I'm mad. That's why I'm mad. I held that up. When I was a child, I used to be crying and bitching, and the old man said, "You do the crime, boy?" And I'd say, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, shut up and do your time."
Well, you guys are misinformed. I haven't killed anyone.
What about Shay?
What about him?
Well, what about him?
He got killed.
Well, the word is you killed him. Word is
Who?
you stabbed him. What does it feel
word.
like? What does it feel like to kill
Word.
somebody, Charles?
Word is that you're an old woman. Word is you have turkey in the sky. Word is I don't know what word is. Somebody else tell you that. I didn't tell you that.
Did you kill Shay?
Hell no.
Did you cut Hinman's ear off?
Hell yes.
Why,
Yes.
how did that feel when you cut his ear off?
I felt bad
Truth is
about
fun,
it.
though. Isn't the truth fun now when you
Yeah,
can... Okay,
sure,
okay,
sure.
you cut his ear off. What did it feel like?
Truth fun? My goodness.
What did it feel like when you cut his ear off?
Huh?
Tell me about it. Come on.
What did it feel like?
Yeah.
Well, I had done what he said for about 20 years. I'd done everything he told me to do. And I got to thinking, now, why don't this guy do something I tell him to do? And he said, no. I said, well, how comes I'm always doing what you tell me to do, but then you never do what I say do? And he said, well, blah, blah, blah. And he said, wow, where'd you get that? I said, I got it from my father in prison. He gave it to me. I had a little charm bracelet I used to carry it on when I was about that big.
Mm-hmm. So skip that for a second.
Yeah.
Why was it so important for him to do what you say? Why do you like having people do what you want them to do? Why do you want to control them, Charles?
Wait a minute. No, I was asked. The dude asked me, he says, you my brother? I said, yeah, I'm your brother. He said, how much are you my brother? I said, completely. See, if I'm going to explain it to you, it's not going to be that easy. So you're going to have to bear with me. So, Bobby said, he was a young dude, and he said, I'm your brother. I said, okay.
Bobby?
I'm your brother. Beausoleil. I just got out of prison.
Wait.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Yeah, well, then we're gone with that thought.
No, because you're getting on
Then
the...
we'll go to another one, and then you make me look crazy.
No. You can make yourself look crazy, Charles. I
Okay.
can't make you look crazy, and please believe me.
All right. I'll believe you, and I'll
Let
put
me-
it in my left-hand pocket for later.
Let me take you back to you wanting this man, Hinman.
I cut the dude's ear off because he was over Bobby. And Bobby was a youngster and really didn't know what the hell he was doing. And he was a kid, and he never had no man show him nothing, see? So I was telling the boy, I said, the guy, he says, you got my money. I said, go and get the money or leave him alone.
You're taking me to another story.
No, I'm trying to tell you the same thing, and we'll be here for 1,000 years unless you let me finish it.
No. We won't be
Okay.
here for that long at all if you'll just speak to this
Okay.
one point.
I'm
What
at
is
the
it-
point.
what-
Why cut the dude's ear off, man? That's the point.
I didn't ask you that. I said, why was it important to you to make Hinman do what you wanted him to do?
Because
and if
he
one
had a
follows
gun.
your and if one follows your story
Yeah.
through the times on the ranch down in Southern California, it was important for Charles Manson to be a leader, to have people follow him.
Come on, district attorney. See, you can full of brainwash. That's a district attorney. I'm nobody's leader, and I'm nobody's follower. I got a parole officer, I got a sleeping bag and a guitar, and I'm staying at old blind man's ranch. And that's about the extent of it. All this occult, all that hocus-pocus stuff that you guys are playing, I don't know nothing about all that.
You know nothing about something called Helter Skelter. You know nothing about...
Yeah, I know about Helter Skelter. It was a song that some people sang.
And that's all it was.
And some other kids picked it up in their minds. And they said, what do you think Helter Skelter is? I said, well, I get out of the penitentiary in the 50s, and everybody's going thump, 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 and they're walking like that. I get locked back up, I get out in the penitentiary in the 65, and it's going thump, 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 and I get locked up again, and I come out in the 69, it's going dum, 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 singing, wow, man, wow.
Wow, what? Wow, what? Come on,
well, I was a beatnik in the 50s before the hippies came along. You know, I cut a rut down through Acapulco, and I smoked Acapulco before you knew what it was. And I lived in the Tombs, and I was in the Cook County Jail in Chicago when you were playing cricket in high school, see? Like you live in another world. I live in street people's world.
When I get back out, and your kids pick me up out of the street and pick me up out of the garbage can, all I want is the little girls. I love them little girls. I'm following little girls around. I ain't got no thought in my mind about nothing.
Right.
I'm not trying to stop nobody. I'm playing music. I'm free. It took me 22 years to get out of this hallway.
This was Haight-Ashbury, 1967.
Yeah. They picked me up. They said, 16-year-old kid. I said, where do you sleep? He said, wherever I lay down. I said, well, don't you have to have an apartment? He said, no, I sleep in the park. I said, how do you do that? He said, sleeping bag. I said, is that right? What do you eat? He said, food. I said, man, where do you get it? He said, wherever I can. I said, don't you have a job? And he laughed at me. He said, no, I went out to Diggers.
Yeah.
So I went down and I looked around and I said, hey, this is love here.
Yeah.
This is love here.
The best time of your life.
Yeah. It was the only time in my life. I never had no life before that. It's always been in here with these guys, man. It's always been in jail. I never had no life outside. I've been locked up since I was 9 years old,
I know.
man.
But now you're in 1967. You're in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco.
I got out. I'm free. I'm free.
You're free.
I got better sense than break the law, man. I'm not going to break no law. If you break the law, you put yourself in jail.
You're in Haight-Ashbury. And what's the magnetism of you? Why did they come to you? Why were they attracted to you?
Well,
those young girls that you were looking
for. Right. Here's the thing. In the penitentiary, you learn this.
All right.
Don't lie. Don't lie, man. If someone catches you in a lie, you leave yourself open to get snuffed. And all my life, I've lived in the eye of that tell the truth. Pay your debts. Don't get involved in other people's business. Do your number, do your time. And you learn to stand on your own. So I'm walking, I'm standing on my own. People see me standing on my own. Not too many people in your world can do that. But I don't realize that at that particular time. I don't realize how weak and mindless you people are. See, I'm judging you by the people in here.
And you're at Haight-Ashbury, and you meet these young women.
Young people.
And you're playing a guitar, and everything is happy, and there's a lot of love, and you're not lying to them, you're just singing songs, and they're coming to you. What's going on? What's happening?
The world is happening. The war was going on. Yeah. All the children wanted to stop the war.
Yeah.
They wanted peace on earth.
Yeah.
And they come to me, and they says, they said, well, we want this, this, and this. And I said, okay. And they said, let's go demonstrate. And I said, no, I'm not going to go demonstrate. I'm not going to go get put in jail. And they said, well, wouldn't you give your love to stop the war? And wouldn't you give your love to save the world? I said, would you give your love to save the world? And they said, yeah. I said, well, how much would you give to save the world? And they said, we would give all. I'll lay my body down. You dig? I give all to save the world. I said, well, if that's you, then you can do that. But I just gave 22 years of my life, and I'm not going back in there for God or nobody else. So if you want to do that, that's your road.
What was it like for you? Was there...
I passed through Haight-Ashbury.
Yeah.
I threw my pistol off of that bridge over there.
You did?
Yeah.
Because...
I got tired of carrying pistols. Yeah. I thought, well, I don't need to shoot anybody, so I threw the pistol over.
But this was the best time of your life, you said. You had a family of people that loved you, a lot of girls you'd like.
I didn't say, you say, I didn't say
I'm asking.
people loved
I'm only
me,
asking.
I'm only asking. I said the people were loved. That was love. It was happening there.
Yeah.
That was happening. But you got to realize I came in on the end of that.
Right.
And I only went through that. I never got stuck up in that.
Yeah.
Because I seen the pitfalls. I seen the speed freaks.
Yeah.
I seen the falling of it. I seen it falling. I'm very aware when it comes to seeing things.
You were an ex-con and you were wary.
I was, I'm not going to get busted or go to jail again.
Yeah.
That was my thought. So I used to hold this up saying, one positive thought.
Yeah.
I'll never go back to jail again because I'll never break the law again.
So you had a family, though.
I had a family. See, there you go.
A family had you. A family had you. But you see, you were trying to make it suggest I'm saying this, and I'm saying, did you or did you not?
No, I never thought of a family. I've never, I don't hang on to people, man.
Right.
I've never had anybody I hold on to.
Why
That's not even in my mind. Because I got biology, and I got chemistry, and I got things beyond the nuclear mind. I won't blow it up. I checkmated that. I got all the bombs over here in the corner. I said, no, I'm not blowing it up. Now the next step of dealing with you suicidal maniacs that won't get up off my life, my air, my water, my trees, my wildlife, my fish. You see, I live on the earth. God gave me a life on that earth, and I live there. And everybody that's taken my life off the earth is taking yours off the earth also. It's taking because you don't have any more right than I do. I don't care whether you're black, whether you're green. If I don't have any rights, then you don't have any rights. And what you do to me will be done to you.
Charlie, people have said that you have powers, that you can make people do what you want them to do.
Well, sure. Sure.
That's true?
Why, certainly.
How so?
By making them do what I want them to do.
How do you do it?
These two guys here with that stick. He has power with that stick to make me do what he tells me to do.
So what's your stick?
What's your stick?
I've been under that stick 43 years.
How do you make people do what you want them
I
to
just
do?
turn that around and give it back to you. What you put on me with that, I just take that and throw it back at you.
Are you saying that you used violence to make people do what you wanted them to do?
No, I don't deal in violence. I'm not a violent person. My record's been, I've been on record, all my life's been on record, and I'm not violent. I learned that whatever you put out, you get back. And I don't like to be hurt, so I'm not going to hurt anyone.
All this stuff about Charles Manson, the guru, the person that people follow, is that true?
Sure.
Why? Why did they follow you?
Because I'm in the soul. I'm in the fist.
What does that mean?
The fist, the family of the infinite soul. The eyes are the windows of the soul. When I show you something once, you know it's there. You've seen it. It's in your soul. It becomes a part of you.
Do you still have people who write to you, who visit you if they can, who follow you?
The whole world's following me. There's no place else they can go.
What do you tell
I haven't found no place to run. And I'm following the next guy in front of me. Everybody's following someone.
Let's get back to that talk about God for a minute. Tell me once again, I don't know if we got that. What you were talking about being God's messenger. Tell me that again.
Life is God. All life. Bugs, birds, trees, everything that's alive is God. The sun is God. But we've got God over here on a cross. We've got a dying man over here on a cross, and we're all kneeling down hoping that if we die, there's a better place somewhere else. Well, you got a whole bunch of people hoping that they die creates a hell of a big energy. And I call it a death wish. It's mother's death wish. It's what everybody's going towards dying, like the Vietnam War when they wanted to blow the world up.
And what have you got to do with God once again?
I'm just a messenger of the truth.
God's messenger?
Life's messenger. We use the word God. The God hooks all the other words up. I'm the Pope. I'm 10 times the Pope. I'm 50 times the Pope. But I'm the Pope in the hills and in the mountains. I'm already out of here. This enclosure here, I'm out of here. My body is stuck here, but my thought is already gone. I am very real, and I am on this planet Earth. And I am moving for Atwa, my air, my water, my trees, and my wildlife, in every way I know how, in every way I can.
Does the end justify the means?
End? There is no end. There is no beginning. Not in Atwa. There's only redeeming life upon the planet Earth.
Does that goal justify any means?
I don't justify or not justify. I lay it out there. What people do with it's their business. If they decide to run up and kill Sharon Tate, that's on them. Had you let us put on a defense, we could have explained to you why it happened.
Why did it happen?
All right.
You take 20 years, 250 district attorneys, 5,000 policemen, everything the news media has got. You put it on one person. And then you come to me and say, explain it away. How can I explain away all the misconcepts in 2 or 3 minutes or 5, 10 minutes? Give me a trial in a courtroom. Give me my rights in a courtroom. And then I'll explain it. I can't explain it just in a few words or in a letter or in a postcard. It's too vast. It's too big. It's circled the world 3 times.
What are you asking for, a new trial?
I'm new. I haven't got the first one yet.
You're asking for a trial, though.
Just a trial. Just give me my rights. All I want is the same rights that my fathers died for. The same rights that says United States of America. I see Reagan getting up in the United Nations telling the world how human rights are so important and how we should give all the humans rights. And then he turn around and ask him on the darker side, what about Charlie? And say, oh, well, he don't deserve no rights. Well, if I don't deserve no rights, then who does deserve rights? I didn't break no law.
Right now you're coming up for parole. You have the right to come up before a parole board. Do you want to get out on parole?
Parole for what? Parole to where? I want my rights. My rights, you give me a parole every other day, it doesn't give me my rights. If I don't have any rights, he doesn't have any rights. He doesn't have any rights, and you don't have any rights.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, in other words, if everybody gets equal rights, you got equal rights to the rights I got. And that's to sit down and keep your mouth shut or get your jaw broken. Is that the rights you want? It's worse than a fairy tale.
It's a fairy tale.
It's a comedy. It's a comedy tragedy opera that was played in the early morning.
Come on, Charles.
It was sickening.
Off the space shuttle.
You know, well, that's what the DA gave you for reality.
Okay.
He stood in the courtroom and said, this man did this and this man did that, and you all believed him. He said, this man did that. And I said, Your Honor, may I speak? And they said, no, you can't speak. I said, no, I got a voice. Let me talk. He said, no, sit down, shut up. Then they handcuffed me, take me in the back, whip my... What are you going to do? I come out and sit down, and I ain't going to get whipped again.
Didn't you stand up in that courtroom?
Sure, I stood up.
By the way, let me just go
I
back.
felt the repercussions in the back of it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you say the whole thing's a fairy tale. You say the whole thing is make-believe.
Yeah, that's his helter-skelter. It wasn't mine.
The body of Sharon Tate is make-believe.
That's make-believe.
Make-believe, yeah.
That's make-believe to the people that went in there and did what they did.
Mm-hmm. And who were those people? But you know who they were.
Sure, I know who they were.
They were with you at the Spahn Ranch. They were part of this thing called, if not the Manson family or the Manson cult, the Manson Ranch. Call it what you will.
So then, what?
And Tex Watson testified in a court of law that you told him, go to the house that Terry Melcher used to live in and kill those people in a most gruesome way. A man that was once your associate said that of you, and now you sit here and say that's not true, that's all make-believe?
You got a stone wall there. Why don't you take it down a little bit? Look here. I'll explain something to you. Tex took the witness stand, and this is record, and he said, I don't know whether I'm Charlie Manson or my mother. Tex didn't have his own mind one way or the other. He was balanced back and forwards because I had already took his mind in another game down the road that I was playing with some Hell's Angels that you don't know nothing about, and you probably never will know nothing about it because you would have to know those people to get in that thought, see? But there's different colors on different people's backs doing different things. It's a different world. I love the world I live in, too, just like Reagan loves the world he lives in.
You love the world you live in.
Most assuredly, it's me.
You love all the pain that you've caused people, all the anguish you've caused.
Pain. Not bad. Pain's not bad. It's good. It teaches you things. It teaches you things. Like when you put your hand in fire, you know not to do that again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that.
But how come you didn't
That's the reason I never stick my hand in fire.
Oh, but excuse me, you've been putting your hand in the fire since you were a little boy.
I have?
You just told me a couple of minutes ago that out of 47 years, you've spent 34 of them behind bars. Now, if that isn't keeping putting your hand in the fire, I don't know what is.
What year was that?
The year is not important. Mm-hmm. What's important is you just say that you learn by pain not to experience again. Don't put your hand back in the fire. Yeah. Why you've been in and out of prisons for the last for 34 of your 47 years? You call that normal behavior, Charles? Is that something that you're proud of?
No, never. Well, I never thought I was normal. Never tried to be normal. Normal runs in a little rut down there. I don't know nothing about being normal. I've been in jail all my life, man. I've lived on a handball court. This guy raised me up. All the men in the joint raised me up, told me what to do, what was right and wrong, told me when to sit down, stand up. I just did everything I was told. You know, and I got to the end of it, and I just turned around and said, wow.
All right, now that's hard.
You know, and then I went outside, and all these little kids got a hold of me and said, we want to stop the Vietnam War, and we want to do this. What? The war? I don't know what's happening. I've been in jail all my life, man. I never went to vocational. You ever see me in vocational training, rehabilitation? Never played no rehabilitation. I sweep the floor in the kitchen. Go out and play handball. I'm still 10 years old in your world. Your world, I'm still a kid. I'm not going to grow up. I'm not going to go to college.
How old are you in your world?
Forever. Since the breakfast. I can't remember what
I don't know what that means. Come on, off the space shuttle, Charles.
Yeah, it's off the space shuttle.
How old are you in your world?
How old am I? I'm as old as my mother told me. How's that?
Your mother. Tell me about your mother. What did your mother tell you?
My mother told me when she worked on death row and they took that dude in to hang him and his head popped off and went down them 13 stairs and rolled over by her. It scared her. You know, so I said, wow, that sure is a far-out trip, Mom. So then when I got up on death row in cell 13 for 9 counts of murder, 1969, and I looked at her fears, that guy's head popping off that hangman's noose, and I said to myself, my goodness, what the hell am I doing here? I didn't want to come here. I didn't break the law. The judge knew that, but the people didn't want to hear it. The judge knew it. He washed his hands. He said, I know it, but what can I do? People want this.
The judge never said that.
Yeah.
Judge never said
That's what Older said.
No, judge didn't say that.
He got off and shook their hands, didn't he?
Judge did not say that he washed his hands.
He's a flying tiger, man, for Madam Chiang Kai-shek. I just wrote a letter.
Judge didn't say that you were innocent, Charles.
Innocent?
Let's go back to your mother.
Innocent? Wait a minute. Let's get back to that word, innocent. You're so white and pure?
Judge didn't say you were innocent.
Are you innocent?
Innocent of what?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
None of us are innocent.
Yeah, just because you're convicted in a courtroom doesn't mean you're guilty of something.
What does mean you're guilty?
Well, you know you're guilty.
And how do you feel about yourself? Tell me about you.
I feel pretty good.
You say there was no family, there was no Manson family, there was a group of people that were having a good time. They say you told them, the leader business, you told them to go murder. That's what they testify.
No.
Did Watson testify to that?
No.
Did Watson say that?
No.
Did he write a book and say that?
He may have said it in his book after he convinced himself of it.
Yeah, he did.
But he said this basically, this is what I thought Charlie wanted me to do.
Yeah.
See, what happens when you're dealing in the street and you're dealing in life and death? Life and death is going by you like this every day.
Right.
There's a guy with a knife.
But you're not dealing in the street. You're up in the mountains playing a guitar.
No, this is where my thought is running, see? You guys sit down, you compute all this, and you know, this all, but to me this goes by, like I may face life and death situations 4 times a day, like it was dust on my shoulder, you dig? So Tex has a little problem, he has a little problem, he gives me a gun, he can't deal with it, I have to go deal with his problem.
Which is?
I have to go shoot somebody for him. Because he's too much of a coward. He's laying up underneath the bed with it.
Who'd you shoot?
I had to shoot lots of Papa.
Who?
Some guy down in the drug world. I had to go down and take care of some business that was not my business. So Tex owed me one. So when I come back and I say, see, you got me in trouble. Every time I stand up for you, brother, I got to face your life and your death. You dig? I'm tired of carrying you on my back. And I threw the gun. I said, now you owe me one. And if you don't pay me when you owe me, then I'm going to pay you what you owe me. You see what I'm saying? In other words, I have to go into another person and put on another face and come back and play, you know.
I understand. So you say to Tex, you owe me one.
That's right. So then when my brother gets busted and my brother's in jail, then I tell Tex, pay him what you owe me. Well, I said, don't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. I'm not part of no conspiracy. I'm not breaking no laws. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not getting involved in nothing. However you do it, you do it. I don't care how you do it, but don't bring it to me. I just come back and big sir, I got a traffic ticket.
But that's not what they say.
Who's they? Who's they said
Susie
that?
Atkins.
No, Susan Atkins never said I said do anything except do what Tex said. And I did say that. I said, Susie, you owe me? She says, yeah. I said, you remember the 3 dudes I fought for you? She said, yeah. I said, remember that other dude I cut his ears off for you?
Yeah.
She says, yeah. I said, well, then pay that to Tex. Don't bother me with it.
All right. After you knew what that had happened at Sharon Tate's, the most brutal murder that people were aware of. Not that there's not a lot of other brutality around, but this got attention. What'd you think?
Well, I looked over in Vietnam. I said,
No. What'd you think about Sharon Tate and her unborn baby?
What did I think about it?
And yeah.
It's not my world. I don't live in that world.
Well, so you didn't care?
Care?
Suppose Tex...
What the hell does that mean, care?
Well, it means love. That means some
Put
sense
me
of...
in a solitary confinement, break my teeth out, break my ribs, bust me up, kick me down a hole,
Right.
and then come back and tell me about care. I don't know what care is, man.
You said to Tex, you owe me one. Tex goes out and commits this atrocious, horrendous, horrible crime.
It's atrocious from where you're looking.
It's atrocious where anybody looks.
Oh, no,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
no,
it is.
No. I look over at my lane, and I see those guys running through there, and I say, good job,
You
man.
didn't say it. You didn't say that. You didn't say
I
that.
would have if I'd have been the general in that. You better believe I would have said
You would have
it.
said good for you for killing those people at my line?
Man, when you're in war, mister.
Okay, but what does war have to do with Sharon Tate's murder?
What's it got to do with any murder?
Ah, but then you said one more
They're the
death.
ones,
It doesn't matter.
wait, they picked up they wanted to stop the war. You don't make no change without bloodshed.
Yeah. You didn't feel any remorse because maybe Tex misunderstood you if you accept that link. I didn't mean for you to do that, Tex.
All right. Let me cool down a bit.
Okay.
How you doing today?
All right.
Good. You got a girl.
Right.
She lays her bridge over troubled waters and all that. She's buying a stairway to someplace, but her welfare check didn't come in. She's got all these things in her head. She's willing to die for this. And she comes and she says, this is my station in life. I'm an angel. I have a cause. This is what I was destined to do. She decides she wants to get up on this road and do this. I tell her, do you realize now that you're only taking your own life? And she says, yes.
Yeah.
How could I have remorse for her love's giving to the world? On the altar of that, I wouldn't hide it. I would say, that's beautiful. But to those who cannot give in the word love, they would hide it and say, oh, how terrible it is. But ask the Ayatollah when his young son goes out there and gets his legs blown off, or someone dies for something they believe in to die and martyr themselves into forever, you dig?
Mm-hmm.
Then someone that can't see that as being love, they turn around and call it dirty. And they call it nasty. And then they make their children into be criminals and crooks. And then they hide them up underneath the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But let me explain this to you. In that life there, as these men will tell you here,
Right.
people hang themselves on the ventilator in the cell next to me every day.
And nobody outside of where you live can understand that and can relate to that because it's a life they don't know and will never know.
Because they don't care. I do.
Right.
But they'll turn that around and they'll say that I don't care, that they do. And then they'll say, we'll go help the misused children.
All right. Let me
finish that thought. They said, we go help the misused children. I said, well, if you're going to help the abused children, what about these penitentiaries across the country? Aren't they abused children too? Or did you forget those?
Charlie Manson then was an abused child.
Every man in the penitentiary.
Well, but we're not talking about every man. We're talking about you. I mean, so you look now at that life you've lived and you say, man, that was an abused life. And that was a man, you made him into what he became because you beat on him and you pushed him, right?
Okay.
That's your...
So in your world, you could take a slice of a pen and write it on a piece of paper and destroy 200,000 people, and it's okay.
Well, not me.
Because you don't have to see it.
Yeah.
It's all right because you don't have,
Okay, but was it okay? Was that murder okay because you didn't see it?
Murder? There's no murder.
There
in
was
the
no
Holy
murder
War.
of Sharon Tate. Come on.
There's no murder in the Holy War, man.
Was that what it had nothing to do with it? Was it a holy war?
This world
Was Sharon Tate's murder a holy war?
The whole thing is a holy war. Wait a minute. Because you want to draw a line and say this is crime and this ain't crime.
No, I don't want to join the line. I just want to speak about the specific instance of that murder for which you're in this place now.
All right. Say what you have to say.
I'm asking.
Asking what?
Was that murder?
Was it murder?
Sharon Tate?
No. Was it murder?
Sharon Tate?
No.
Back to your mom.
Take me back to...
What else did she talk to you about besides the fellow whose head popped off?
The head popped off, yeah. She was living in the Blue Moon Cafe, and she hit a dude in the head with one of them bottles of Jim Beam whiskey. She tried to hustle a few dollars on the corner, but there wasn't no money. So when she jammed this whiskey bottle upside that clown's head, he went down. She took the bread, come up and got me, and we went to Indiana.
When you were a boy, did you love your mother?
I didn't know what that was.
Did you respect your mother? How did you feel about you? How do you feel about your mom right now? If your mother, I don't know if she's alive, Charles, or not.
Yeah, you don't, huh?
Do you?
Let's see. Alive now. Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if she could be watching this right now,
be watching.
what would you say to her, Charles?
Oh, well,
What would you say to Mom?
I'd say you sure went through a whole lot of changes to get me as far as you did. And you did a damn good job with the help of my grandma. My grandma was a mountain girl from Kentucky, up in the mountains. And she never did drink or smoke or cuss or lie. She used to cook for the Salvation Army, and she was a human being. Good one. I go to church down there and sweep the floor for her.
Well, how were you in school? I hear that you weren't too good, but maybe I heard wrong.
Depends on which school. I did very well in reform school.
Yeah.
I did good in every place that I was ever told to do good in, as much as I was allowed to do. You know, a lot of times good for some might not be the same for others, and sometimes it kind of bumps heads. But when it does, then I just chew on my pipe and think about it and do the best I can.
Mm-hmm, but
you dealt the hand down there in L.A. You in that press, you in that L.A. Times, you dealt the hand. You put me on Life magazine, had me convicted before I walked in the courtroom. You had what people wanted to buy. When they wanted to buy it, they didn't give a damn if they had to convict the district attorney. They'd have convicted the whole building to get that dollar bill going there. They had big bucks going there. They made 27 million, 100 billion. I'm bumming $10, $15 from my friend here.
About this before, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to try it one more time. You can see them where I'm.
You got a pistol on you?
No, sir. They wouldn't let me in here if I had a pistol.
Yeah.
You know that as well as I do. So why even ask the question? Okay.
Well, I just thought you might not like what I've done. You want to do something about it?
I don't much care for what you've done.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. How do you feel about that? A lot of people think you're a monster, Charles. How do you feel?
They think you're a monster because you reflect this news media on me. Cult leader. I never had long hair before I got busted. I never had a beard before I got busted. I went to shave, and the guy said, no, you can't shave. And I said, I need a razor to shave. He said, no, you can't shave. I said, let me get a haircut. He said, no, we don't want you to change your appearance. So when you put the camera first on me, you got long hair and a beard. First time in my life I ever had long hair and a beard.
You want to shave and get a haircut? I'll shut him off, or you'll get a shave and a haircut.
Am I telling him right? I'm not of this generation.
You want to shave and a haircut right now? I'll shut him down right now. You want to shave and a haircut?
Yeah. I was trying to explain to you, man, that a lot of they pushed off on me is not me. They said I had a great family and I was the following and leaders and all that. There was no followers and leaders, a bunch of kids out the ranch playing. Me.
Playing at what?
Playing at living.
The accounts say that you gave him dope. I'm just saying what the accounts say. I'm not saying I know it to be so, so here's your chance to say it wasn't true. Okay? That there was a lot of hanky-panky, that you turned the girls on with dope and sex out there. That's what they said. All right, that's what they said. Mm-hmm. Well, are they wrong?
Oh, well, I went down to Haight-Ashbury, and a little kid, 10 years old, come up and said, you want an acid pill? I said, what's that? He said, this is good. Make colors go. I said, no, I heard about them things. I don't want none of that. And then another little kid was rolling a joint. And they were sitting there smoking a joint, and they asked me if I wanted one.
What'd you say?
I said, well, I used to smoke this stuff in the 60s, but never in the 50s. But it really wasn't that, it was funny, but it's not.
How much dope did you use in your lifetime? Were you a heavy user of dope?
No, I smoked a little grass, and I've taken some acid, mescaline, psilocybin, peyote, mushroom. But actually take dope, no, nothing. I wouldn't take anything with it I feel would hurt me.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that those things that you just mentioned hurt you at all, Charles?
Physically or spiritually?
Mentally.
And then on what level? On the level of society, the way you view the norm?
No. Stop the hogwash. Do you feel that the drugs that you did use in your earlier lifetime confused you, altered your mind, juggled it, scrambled it, made you see things differently? Stay on that level if you can.
Maybe I find a spirit of caveman think through brain.
Let me try it again. Do you think the drugs you used hurt you?
Drugs hurt me. No, I don't think the drugs have hurt me. If I overdone it, I think it would.
You don't want to be anybody's leader, do you?
No.
Never did want to be anybody's leader?
Mm-hmm. Don't like attention.
Mm-hmm. Then why do you...
Most insecure people need attention. I
was just going to say, then, if you don't want attention, why all your life have you kept waving your arms saying, hey, look at me?
That's what I've been doing all my life.
Well, I would have to say that a young
See
man
if I got that documented.
who by the time he's 20 years old has been in and out of jails and reform schools for a variety of offenses that include wife beating,
Wife beating, now that's never whipped my old lady.
Didn't you?
No, I punched my mother out once.
Oh, you did? All right, well, we'll call it mother beating. Forging
But she
checks.
was wrong, and she lied to me and beat me for my money, and she didn't do right.
Forging
You dig on
checks.
that? Huh?
Forging checks. Car theft. I mean, these are ways of waving your arms and saying, look at me, give me some attention.
Yeah.
Yet you say you don't want any attention. Now, Charles, that's a contradiction.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, over a period of about 20 years, I imagine you'd want to change something. I'm not very wise to many things, but I am wise to one thing, you know.
What's that?
Well, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. You punched your mother. Did you hate your mother?
No, I love her. She's a good girl.
What about your wife? You were married once, weren't you?
Yeah.
How'd that go? Why'd you want to get married? That's kind of conventional. That's kind of normal. That's kind of in the rut, as you say, to get married, isn't it?
Getting it. That's why I got married.
Married for sex was the reason you got married.
Yeah, that's what I didn't know what was happening. I knew there was something happening, but no one would tell me, so I had to find out. You know, I didn't have books like you guys, Playboys and stuff in them days. I had to find out for myself.
Why do you think us guys are all Playboys? We keep
Oh, man, I didn't say you were Playboy. I was talking about Playboy magazine type thoughts,
okay,
man.
okay. You had a son by that marriage, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a kid somewhere.
Do you think about him?
Not about as much as my father did me.
So two wrongs make a right in Charles.
No, I didn't say there's anything wrong with the way my dad's been taking care of me. He lets me live. I'm alive.
I remember you saying, or being quoted in the courtroom in Los Angeles, as saying, the children who came at you with knives are your children.
Yeah, I didn't raise them. You raised them.
You are the ones who kicked them out. You are responsible for what they've done.
That's right. Just as much as I am.
So you, in my mind, were criticizing society for kicking their children out. And yet I've just seen you sit here and say, yeah, I got a kid somewhere.
Yeah.
How can you criticize other people for kicking their kids out and you did the same thing?
Difference, many levels, difference. See, my old lady left me and run off with a truck driver. She said, let's steal a car and go to California. And I said, man, I ain't going to steal a car and go to California and go back to jail. She says, we won't get caught. We didn't get caught. Just I got caught. She didn't get caught. So then she had a kid, and then some truck driver came along, and I was a green kid, and I didn't know what I was doing. You know, so she said, you know, I got a ride from you. I'll see you later. She took off and got married to somebody else. You know, she's a good girl.
And besides the son that you had in your marriage, you've got, what, 4 other children somewhere?
I don't think I've been responsible for as much as you people want to lay on me.
Well, how many children do you have, Charles?
How many children do I have? I don't know. I have lots of children, man. In fact, sometimes I even think you're a child.
But you just said you don't have any children, you don't have any family in the context of the ranch. I'm talking about children that are your natural children.
Children that are my natural ego?
No, children.
Oh, children? I would divide one child from the other and say...
All right, somewhere out there, somewhere, there's at least one son that we know of that's your child, who's probably about 25 or 26 years old right now.
Right?
Yeah. Look in that camera. What do you say to that kid? What do you say to your son out there watching his old man on television? Maybe the first time he's ever seen his old man, with his face all carved up and his eyes glowering. You talk to that kid. What are you going to say to him?
You got to catch it on your own, boy. Train's hard. The road's rough.
And that's it.
That's all I knew. That's all anyone ever told me.
All right.
And you want to hear something?
Yeah?
He'll do it better than me.
Do what?
Whatever he does. He'll do it a little better. Kids do, don't they?
Sometimes.
Yeah. That's what makes them such a gas. They always seem to get through.
There was a story about a celebrity hit.
Was you ever a kid once?
Absolutely. Still am in many ways, but not your way.
Oh, my way? I don't know what my way is. Everybody keeps telling me I got all these things. I read the other day where I had magical powers, and I told everybody in the chapel, I said, zap, 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 zap. I said, where's my magical powers? Well, you can't believe what you read in the press. I can get no magical powers, mystical trips, and all that kind of crap. Yeah, it's kind of silly. Yeah, I'm getting witches and devils, and one guy come up and said, I heard you said you were Jesus. I said, no, man, I ain't said nothing. He said, I'm glad. He said, I'm damn glad. I said, why? He said, I know you ain't him. I said, how do you know? He said, because I am. I said, okay. But I mean, I've been in the nut ward for 10 years, so you can't expect me to rationally take this thing serious.
Don't you think you belong in the nut ward?
Well, it's all right. I could be
but
there.
don't you belong there?
I belong where I'm allowed to go, man. Like, I belong.
Let me nail down one other real simple one. Listen to how simple this is, Charles. There was a story in the media back when the trial was going on that Charles Manson had a celebrity hit list. I don't know who was on it. Maybe there never was such a list, but was there a list of people, famous people, that you thought about harassing, bothering?
If I wanted to harass them, I just wouldn't watch their TV show.
Charlie Manson's whoever he's allowed to be, whoever you make out of him, I guess.
And what of those people who say, monster?
What you see, what you get.
But do you like it?
Man, they have to live with it. I don't. You live with your judgments. I live with mine.
Perception. The most horrible crimes were committed at his direction, and therefore
you come back to the same premise. You come back to the same premise.
But I'm just talking about self-image now. You don't like it? Do you not like it? Do you care about it? The fact that people, somehow, there is something called the Manson mystique in the world now.
All right. Your name is Sam Smith and you're from Idaho. Now, what's your self-image? You know you're not Sam Smith and you know you're not from Idaho.
Right.
Well, now, how matter? I can scream and yell and I can tell the whole world, here's Sam Smith from Idaho. And you still know in your heart that you're not Sam Smith.
So what are you in your heart then, if you know you're not that?
I did not direct nobody to be killed, man.
All right. Who told Watson et al. To go commit those murders?
The lawyers.
Okay, well, we're not going to go anywhere on that.
All right. Well, you want me to explain it? It's a simple thing.
What is the simple thing?
Everybody that's a crook learns this, that you cannot trust a lawyer.
Okay.
Especially a criminal lawyer. You can't trust them.
Oh, so you're saying the defense lawyers did it?
No, I'm saying if we had a place to go, we wouldn't have to go to violence. But when you got no place to go, and your children can't find a father in your system, and you lay down and you say, can I get some help? And they won't give you no help. And you get stepped on in the face, and then pretty soon you say, well, what can we do here?
So violence is the only option we have.
Only change. Wait a minute. For that generation, you must realize I am not in that generation, man.
But you were part of it.
What do you mean? I just got out of the penitentiary.
Yeah, but you got involved in it, right?
I got involved in what?
You were involved with that generation of young people.
No more than anybody else on the street corner.
Do you believe the Tate LaBianca murders had anything to do with sort of ending the period of the 60s, creating a...
Yeah, it was the peak of the love that was running. Why don't we do it? No one will be watching us. And it's banging 24 hours a day. I didn't write that music.
Okay.
Take it to the Queen of England. Ask her why she's sending her kids over here ducking from that Hindu pimp that's coming out of that New Delhi penitentiary. See, there's a lot more in the world than you know about, see?
Boy, there's a lot that...
Sure there is. Sure there is. Sure there is.
What do you say to those people who say Charlie Manson is a psychopath? So, okay, it doesn't bother you.
No, there's a whole lot of us nowadays.
That he hates people. That he's full of hatred.
Right. Yeah.
Are you full of hatred?
No. As is it.
Okay.
In other words, I see that human beings aren't worth too much as a whole.
That he's schizophrenic.
Yeah, I can be that.
You are that.
Sure, I can. Well, aren't we all?
Yeah, well...
You know, they put you in the middle of the yard, I bet you change your personality.
I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
But you keep coming back to that, that they did this to me because they put me in the pen.
I didn't say they. I'm not blaming nobody for anything, man. I'm not pushing no rocks around.
If you're going to write a song today, what would it be?
You better bow down, disco. I'm gonna take your heart away.
More?
I got nothing behind me.
You need a guitar to do it, huh?
Yeah.
You don't think of yourself.
I don't think of myself. You're right.
And secondly, you don't think of yourself the way these other people do, as this monster that
I think of myself as whatever I have to be.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, see, here's what's interesting about you. Listen to me 1 second. Here's this guy who most of us believe, because of the trial, and you believe we were had by the DA, but most of us believe you did suggest, direct, because of the influence you had on those people to do those murders. And the next night, the LaBianca. And it has created this notion of you. You are one of the most infamous criminals, cons
Of all time.
in the world.
I don't think you guys have seen me.
Really?
No.
What don't we understand?
You don't understand yourselves.
No, but what don't we understand about you? Grant you, we don't understand ourselves.
Yeah.
But what don't we understand about you?
Just what I said. I'm inside of you, man.
Yeah.
I live inside of you. I'm inside every one of you.
And to say that suggests that what? You being evil is inside of all of us?
Life.
Yeah.
Evil. It's not, it's beyond good and evil, man. It's a balance. It's averaxis. It's the Pope roller skating.
Yeah.
He keeps one hand on the table all the time. He never tells you he's running numbers on.
Yeah.
He's got the dice in his hand.
Yeah, but
like we all know that. We should by now.
What do you think about the idea of responsibility? Taking responsibility for your own actions?
I do. The
You
court
believe in
ran for
that?
me. Sure. Now let me ask you a question.
All right.
How comes the court shirked and turned their backs on me and wouldn't give me my rights?
They gave you your rights.
Rights in what direction? I didn't even get to put on defense.
Yeah.
When it come defense time, they said, we're taking too long, and this covered it up and told the public another outburst, another Manson outburst.
Yeah. If you...
What defense did I put on? What witness did I call? Did I call one witness? I never got to call one witness.
You will not find any group of people who will not believe, who don't believe that Charles Manson got a fair trial.
And human rights are over in Russia. We won't look at Charles Manson. We'll just cover that up. We won't look at the fact that we've had a 9-year-old kid locked up and blaming him for everything we did since 1943, will we?
Talk to me about your life in prison in terms of your being in isolation. You are not on what is called the main line. You're not with the prison population here. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it? I don't feel about it.
Would you rather not be in isolation?
Oh, I've been trying to get on the main line. I've been trying to get to the prison for the last 13 years.
Why?
Why? Walk around, play some handball, play a little guitar, do my number, do my time like any convict does, like I've always done, like my mind has been set to do, like my past lives have been in jail, doing time in jail. In fact, when I got out, I just got outside and sat down. I wasn't going nowhere. I gave up, see.
If you were on the main line, wouldn't you be exposed to some dangers?
Come on, man. If you're thinking exposure to danger, then that danger you're thinking is coming around you.
Well, look what happened to James Earl Ray. You heard about that, didn't you?
James Earl Ray's got his problems. I got mine.
But you heard what happened to him. Have you heard? He got stuck.
Yeah.
22
people
times.
died in India, too.
Got stuck.
And some other people died in Hawaii.
You wouldn't be
people
scared
dying all over.
All right. You wouldn't be frightened or afraid then of the prison population trying to make a hit on you.
Man, I've been staying alive in prison this long without no help.
What is S ward?
It's a nut ward.
What goes on in there?
Whatever goes on in there. You'd have to ask the people responsible for that.
Well, do they do things to you in there?
Do they do things to me?
Mm-hmm.
That depends.
They give you medication here?
Yeah, they give you medication here.
You on medication now?
No. No, it took me about a few years to get off of medication. The medication has toned me down quite a bit. Whole lot. That's the reason I like the desert. Because when I get out in the desert, then I can let it out and say, if I see you within 50 miles, you will know something. Yeah, I used to love that desert. Out in the woods and things. I didn't know you could get out in the woods for 30 years.
How do you feel about spending the rest of your life in prison?
Well, we're all our own prisons. We each are our own wardens, and we do our own times. We get stuck in our own little trips, and we kind of judge ourselves the way we do. You know, I can't judge nobody else. The best thing I can do is try to judge myself and live with that. See, what other people do is not really my affair unless they approach me with it and want me to do something about it. Then I'll take into consideration what has to be done. But other than that, I just try to do my number and do my time. Get out on the main line, play some tennis, walk around, make the child a little better, you know. And then there's a possibility the preacher could teach me something, because the preacher, the reverend, is quite a guy, and I'm finding that got 2 or 3 doctors here that's got a lot of sense. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they got a lot of sense in my world, you know. And I've tried to shake 2 or 3 of them, but they're pretty smart. And then they got some pretty good inmates here, trying to get out and work their lives into a decent sort of way. Trying to promote harmony, pull ourselves together, be right, do right, and have the understanding of what it is in a congenial form for world peace. There's a lot of people working for world peace.
Let's assume that one day you were paroled. Let's just let's just make believe. Do you ever think you will be?
Yeah, do I ever think I will be? Well, I've never been paroled before. I went up to the board, and they said I was incorrigible. And not only was I incorrigible, but that I'd never grow up. And I kind of agreed with them. I had a war.
Well, let's just play make-believe here for a second. Let's make-believe. Let's make-believe you're getting out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
And tomorrow creeps this petty face, yeah.
Would you go after anybody, Charles?
After anybody?
Do you feel, let me try another way. Do you feel you have any scores to settle with anybody on the outside?
Let me think. Do I have any scores out there? And we're making believe, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, buddy. Well, I don't rightly know. I'm stupid to the point to where I'm not really sure. And if you'll ask the question again, maybe the answer will come to you. What was it again?
If you got out tomorrow, do you have any scores to settle on the outside?
Scores? You mean people that have done me wrong?
Or you feel you've done you wrong?
Oh, that feel that I've done them wrong?
No, feel that they've done you wrong.
Oh.
That you feel have done you wrong.
Oh, well, most people do themselves wrong.
But would you want to go? Would you want to go get anybody?
No.
If you got out, no.
No, they push. See what they do. See, they take all that bad and they push it off on each other. I told the dude, "You're doing this to yourself, man." You know, I've been sitting in there. In other words, I'm in the cell, right? And he let me out, and I walk around. The guy says, "If you don't do this, we're going to lock you back up." I said, "Okay, I don't care anyway." I done gave up that thought. Prison's in your mind, man. Like, you know.
Okay.
You can sit in the cell, and the guy says, "You're in prison?" I said, "No, I'm just here." He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just sitting here waiting for these people to get done doing what they're doing so I could get out."
Do you have a television set? Do you watch television?
Yeah, I used to watch it a little bit, but it kind of looks, I don't really like it that much.
Okay. Well, what about newspapers? Do you get newspapers?
No, I don't bother with those. I know that they're jiving there.
All right. What radio? Listen to the radio?
I listen to a Hearts in Space program. I like that. And the rest of it's just like a bunch of... There's no...
What about your music?
I get some classical music on the 98 station that's saying something.
Okay. But what about your own music? I remember reading that you at one time had a recording stint at a studio in Hollywood, and that you liked guitar and you wrote music or sang music. Do you still do that?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. But the way I do it ain't the same way you guys do it. And the way I do it scares you guys. So I didn't want to scare you guys out of the neighborhood right away. So I just took a can and started banging on it, you know. But we used to have some cosmic gatherings back in the mountains that would probably shake a Mormon tabernacle choir's eardrums.
You said the kind of music you play scares people. Why shouldn't people be scared by you?
There's only one person you can be scared of, and that's yourself. Afraid of what? Losing your bank account? Afraid of your wife going away? You have all those things. I'm not afraid of losing my watch or someone taking my money or robbing me. I went down to Mexico in the 50s and down where the Yankees was, and they said, "Man, you don't go down where the Yankees are." He said, "They're terrible." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, they don't like people like you." I said, "Well, they didn't say anything."
Yeah, but I asked the question in the context that, whether you believe it or not, there are a lot of people on the outside that think about the possibility of you coming out of here, and they're genuinely scared of you.
Oh, boy, I might just make dust. Everything. Terrible. One little guy. Terrible. Ooh. Boy, how insecure are we as human beings? Put all our fear on one little guy. Afraid to let him out. He might break all the toys.
Why do you say little guy?
Because I'm not the guy you trying to make out of me. That's not me. That's some guy in somebody's imagination that wanted to make a couple $100 million for himself. He got rich. He had a good game going. He had a better game going than I did, but he had a good mother to help him. She helped him in a nice game. I was kind of over on the sideline. See, I had to get around that game and look over the tracks.
Okay, now, here we go on mother again for a second. You said he had a nice mother to help him. Does that mean you did not have a nice mother to help you?
Oh, well, I imagine I got a whole lot of nice mothers that would help me. If I would help them, you know. How much would you help yourself?
When I asked you why you got married, you said for sex.
That's when I was 20 years old.
Yeah. What kind? This is funny. What kind of sex life is there for Charles in this prison?
Well, I do a bit now and then. I try to hide it, not to embarrass other people. But I've been doing it ever since I was 10. I get to thinking, here I'm an old man sitting in the cell. That's the damnedest thing I ever seen, you know. It looks like I grow up, but I really don't know how yet. I'm learning. Preacher's teaching me how to grow up.
Who taught you that?
Well, I don't want to snitching on me.
I was raised up that you don't get involved in other people's business.
Okay.
If they're doing something, that's them. They got to ride that beef. That's a jailhouse law. Ride your own beef, do your own time. And I've done that all my life. If Tex goes off and he kills 8 or 10 people and Bobby comes back and says, "I killed him," I said, "Man, don't tell me about it. I don't want to hear it, you know. It's none of my affair."
And you don't even care, you said.
Care?
You didn't. I know. You don't. I know. We've been through that.
Yeah.
You've been through that. What is the relationship between Charlie Manson and young people?
I am your young people.
There are people who fear you. Do you like that?
True love
fear means power.
Love casts out all fear. If you're afraid of me, there's something wrong with you.
Not me, but there are people who are fearful of you.
Well, then they got to work that out for themselves.
They shouldn't be.
That's up to them. I don't, you know, what can I do? You know, I mean, just...
We haven't talked about one thing. I got to go, but I want to talk about this, about religion and God. Do you believe, you know, Susie Atkins and Tex Watson have become born-again Christians?
Sure.
What do you think of that?
We were born-again Christians before we got
You
busted.
believe in a God?
Sure.
That's not you.
Well, sure it's me.
Under what circumstances would you look into the eye of a camera like that and say, look, I want to take responsibility
For the world that I live in.
No. Okay, for the world you live in.
The world that I live in. I got no choice.
Yeah.
I got peace. But until everybody's got peace, I can't have peace. In other words, I got you. But I can't have it until everybody else gets you. And then when everybody else gets through with it, then I'll get you.
You said that your book would not be published for whatever reason. I don't know anything about that. But here, if you, in fact, from the last question. When you're going to meet your God, and when you know you're down to those last few remaining breaths, are you still going to say what you said to me, or are you going to say...
I've lived my whole life right in that spot.
Okay. So if it all ended tomorrow...
It did end tomorrow.
All right. Suppose it ends tomorrow for some reason.
It does.
You would say... You would go to your death saying, you got me all wrong, I didn't do it.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
Well, wait a minute, Paula, answer that, because you've been very responsive. Would you go to your death saying, I didn't do it, I had nothing to do with those murders, and you put me here, and I didn't deserve it?
I didn't say I didn't have anything to do with them. I didn't, you misunderstand.
Well, tell me what you're saying about it. If it's your last will and testament, what are you saying?
You got a circle, man, that man lives inside of. He lives inside this circle. He's responsible for this circle, and this circle only. You can take that to the House of the Rising Sun in Japan, the samurai. You can take that to the Second World War. You can take it and hang it on a cross. You can kill me 1,000 times, but it's still there. It makes no difference whether I'm in the circle or not. It's still there. What this man does outside that circle is none of my business. But if he comes up to the circle, I'm going to go, stay out of my circle. If you don't stay out of my circle, you're with your own life here. Your own life, man. Can't see it's your life. It's not mine. I'm just another guy walking down the road going, how many times I got to go, where's God at? She got a face, what is it? You want me to be everything to everybody. You want me to face all your fears and all your debts. You want me to die again for you. You want me to go to the gas chamber and walk in and say, all right, preacher on one side, me priest on the other side, and they say, I'm the son of God, and they say, we know, son, go in and sit down. Give us your life again. And I say, I give you my life because I think you're taking care of the kids. But then I get out from the gas chamber and I go and I look at the kids. You're not taking care of the kids. You're feeding on them. You're drunk on their blood, man. I'm an old man. All I want to do is retire. Get on the desert and be left alone. I don't want to bother nobody. I'm hiding out underneath the rock. They come to me and say, hey, Charlie, hi. I said, what do you want? So you want to talk? I said, about what? We got problems. The water's dying. Your water's dying. Your life is in that cup. Your water's dying. Your trees are dying. Your wildlife's locked up in zoos. You're in a zoo, man. How do you feel about it? How do you feel? How do you feel that your children would do something like that? How do you feel that an ex-convict can get out of jail and go find rocket scientist's children out in the garbage cans? Go home. I can't. My mother, my father won't let me. They're drunks. They hate me. I'm responsible for your children. You won't be responsible for... How do you feel about those murders? How do you feel about them? That's what counts. Happen in your world, not mine. Not in my circle, because I wouldn't allow it.
But listen, those people that died never violated your circle.
I didn't have anything to do with those people that died. But son, how many times I got to tell you they died in Vietnam, they died in Korea. I didn't have nothing to do with that. I never told nobody, you go over and kill those people out in Oscar. I said like this, be responsible for your own actions, man.
Anybody who watches this tape is going to see the things that you have said and hear the things that you have said. And they also are going to say, that man is mentally sick. And what do you say to that?
When you take a negative from a picture and you hold it up to the light, you don't see the light, you see the negative. So what you think in your mind as you look at me is how you're judging yourself in the world. This guy here was written down in the scriptures long before I got here.
You think you'll ever leave prison?
Prison? I left prison in '67. I got out of jail.
Yeah, but you're back.
Can't you see I'm out, man? Can't you see I'm out? Can't you see I'm free? We didn't get a trial. We didn't get our rights. We didn't get anything. We were tried by the news media. We weren't tried by the courtroom. The courtroom the news media was selling it. It was making money. They was buying and selling it. And when it's making money, they're going to sell it. They don't care who's got to pay the price for it. But we had to pay the price for it, you know. I didn't break no law. Everybody in the world knows that. But it seems like these people around here, they can't get it in their brains that I didn't break no law.
Are you ever in contact with any other members of the so-called Manson family, your friends?
The Manson family was a music group. The music group I had was called the Family Jams. And all the girls sang in the music group. And all the guys played in the music group. It had nothing to do with a cult. It was a music group.
Whatever happened to those people? Are you in contact with them?
Sure, they're all doing fine. We're all doing the same as we was doing before. You can never split us apart because we were never together. We were together in soul, we were together in truth, and every one of them knows I've never lied to them. I've never lied to anyone about them or around them. They've never seen me in a lie.
Would you like to get out of prison?
I'd like to get my guitar and I'd like to see my friends.
What would you do if you got out of prison?
Depends on what level I got on.
What would you do if you got out of prison on parole?
Oh, on parole? I don't know whether I would accept a parole. Because if I accept a parole, then I have to accept a whole bunch of little people play act importance with my life. I'm tired of other people running my life.
How do you feel about blacks?
Blacks are all right.
How do you feel about Jews?
Jews are all right.
How do you feel about women?
Women, okay.
Why do you wear the sign of the American Nazi Party?
That's my Nazi party. That's me.
What does it mean?
It means I've been locked up in here since 1943. That I'm standing behind the judges in Nuremberg.
I think I need a little more explanation than that.
There's a line that the judge sets on. There's a premise of crime that the Supreme Court sets on, that the government and the crosses set on. I have been behind the judge since 1943. In the infinite consciousness of those black robes, I have been on the dark side of the world you people live in for 43 years, for a little over 43 years. Juvenile halls, Cook County Jail, Chicago, Indianapolis, D.C., Virginia. I did a lot of time in Virginia, all over the country. I've been in and out of jail. I have nothing against no one unless they got something against me. You come up and say hi, I say hi. You say I like you, I say well I like you. You say well I don't like you, I say well I don't like you. In other words, however you reflect to me is what I'm going to reflect back to you. I don't care what color you are, where you're from, or what you're doing, what race you are.
Why did you do so many things to get yourself thrown in jail? You seem to like it when you...
It's clear that you were guilty of murder, and yet he says in all his conversations with you, he never heard you express remorse. Have you never felt it?
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's going to happen when I get out of here? Guilty.
Will Emmons is an ex-convict who first met Manson in prison in the 50s. He claims he wrote the Manson book after 7 years of conversation with Manson to show that he's no leader, no guru, but just a loser. Why should anyone care to read this book?
My purpose when I first started was virtually to destroy the myth. I showed that he's not as complex or as the occult leader, or etc., that he's been projected as being.
I don't fit in society, and I am incompetent. I'm definitely incompetent.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, I say that. I say that. No, there's nothing wrong with being incompetent because you don't have to do as much. If you're competent, then you got a lot to do. See, but there's another aspect of it too. I've learned to reflect. I just reflect back. I know I don't know. I know I'm stupid. I admit I'm a petty whatever. I've never been a success at anything. I even got to the point where I didn't want to be a success at anything. What would being a success, what does that mean, you know? Money?
oh, I've had all the money in the world 3 times and I had to give it back. That's a stupid little game, you know. My awareness and my consciousness is not the same as somebody that goes to school and has a mom and dad. See, not having parents have left me in another dimension, so to say, you know. I don't have no bad going for nothing. I don't judge. I hardly even think about too much. It's hard for me to remember breakfast. In fact, if I didn't have 2 or 3 girls to help me, I would pretty much be lost and I wouldn't know what the hell I'm doing.
You write that in all your conversations with Charles Manson, he never expressed remorse.
Have you seen any today? I mean, perhaps he believes totally in his own mind that he's not guilty.
You guys got this stuck in your head that I've murdered somebody.
Who is this man you've been talking to for 7 years?
Well, to me, he's a convict that was a failure. I mean, he's the person that is not capable. I mean, and I still lay it to the way the book reads. It wasn't to start cleaning the earth or anything. I mean, there was a drug burn that initiated the first one, and the black guy, the first tone of violence that surfaced anyway. And then the death of Gary Hinman, there again it was dope related, and it just kept feeding from there, and so it had no spiritual aspects at all. It was just a bunch of guys out there, kids out there that was living, doing their own thing, and it used to be party time and play time, and then through drugs and the whole bit, well, it started getting a little bit nasty, a little bit meaner, and first thing you know, there's murders.
In my whole life, I've burglarized a grocery store, stole some nickels and dimes, busted open a stamp machine, stole a few automobiles, and cashed a couple checks. I'm a petty car thief. I've been with prostitutes and bums and winos and all my life. The street is my world. I don't pretend to go uptown and be anything fancy. I can, but I find more real in the world that I'm in than I do the tinsel. And the real world is the one I have to deal with every day, you know. Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
child. I never grew up. I never lived in your society. I never went to school. I never had a mother and father. I raised myself up.
What do you think it is about you that makes people want to be a part of whatever it is you're a part of?
I'm brand new. Everything I do is always brand new. I'm on the premise of reality. I walk a real road. I'm a real person inside. I'm not a phony. I don't put on no airs. I say what I think. You see what I'm saying?
Aren't you putting on an air now? Aren't you putting on an act for me?
When you look it back, see if it's an air. See if where you get it. And someone sees it and goes by and they say, hey, how you doing? I say, pretty good. How you be? Where does it come from? Where does the energy and power come from? Who recharges your battery?
So we're all an act,
well,
right?
What isn't? The only thing that isn't an act is when someone gets killed. And then it isn't an act because people's fear sees it as being real. So the only thing people see as real is fear. So if the people in the underworld are knocking people down in the streets and breaking their jaws, maybe it's the people in the underworld that want you to see that I am very real and I am on this planet Earth. And I am moving for Atwa, my air, my water, my trees, and my wildlife in every way I know how, in every way I can.
Does the end justify the means?
End? There is no end. There is no beginning. Not in Atwa. There's only redeeming life upon the planet Earth.
Does that goal justify any means?
I don't justify or not justify. I lay it out there. What people do with it's their business. If they decide to run up and kill Sharon Tate, that's on them. Had you let us put on a defense, we could have explained to you why it happened.
Why did it happen?
All right. You take 20 years, 250 district attorneys, 5,000 policemen, everything the news media has got. You put it on one person. Explain it away. How can I explain away all the misconcepts in 2 or 3 minutes or 5, 10 minutes? Give me a trial in a courtroom. Give me my rights in a courtroom. And then I'll explain it. I can't explain it just in a few words or in a letter or in a postcard. It's too vast. It's too big. It's circled the world 3 times.
What are you asking for, a new trial?
I'm new. I haven't got the first one yet.
You're asking for a trial.
Just a trial. Just give me my rights. All I want is the same rights that my fathers died for. The same rights that says United States of America. I see Reagan getting up in the United Nations telling the world how human rights are so important and how we should give all the humans rights. And then he turn around and ask him on the darkness side, what about Charlie? And say, oh, well, he don't deserve no rights. Well, if I don't deserve no rights, then who does deserve rights? I didn't break no law.
Right now you're coming up for parole. You have the right to come up before a parole board. Do you want to get out on parole?
Parole for what? Parole to where? I want my rights. My rights, you give me a parole every other day, it doesn't give me my rights. If I don't have any rights, he doesn't have any rights. He doesn't have any rights, and you don't have any rights.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, in other words, if everybody gets equal rights, you got equal rights to the rights I got. And that's to sit down and keep your mouth shut or get your jaw broke.
What would you do if you got out of prison on parole?
On parole, I don't know whether I would accept a parole. Because if I accept a parole, then I have to accept a whole bunch of little people play act importance with my life. I'm tired of other people running my life.
Are you saying that you don't want to accept guilt?
Guilt? What the hell is that? I can do anything I want, woman.
What would you do if you got out of prison?
I'm out of prison. I get out every day. I get out in these guys every day. I get out, I'm everywhere. I know you're gonna lock everywhere up. I'm everywhere, man. I'm all things. How you gonna lock that up? I got some trees. I was planting some trees. I got some trees. I did a crazy thing. I planted some fig trees, and I didn't know fig trees take 2 trees. Did you know that? There's male and female trees? I didn't know that. And I was planting fig trees, and every water hole I'd go would plant 1 tree. And I figured 1 fig tree at this water hole would be just right for the water hole. But then I come to the gym, I looked in the book and find out, man, you gotta have 2 fig trees to have fruit. So I got a whole bunch of water holes out there with 1 fig tree planted. So I wanted to get back out and put the, plant the other side of that, put the other trees out. I like working in the dirt. I like farm work. I like growing things. I like growing things, gardens and things like that. I like earth things I like. I'd probably get back down on the ground, walk around. Just walk around, do the things that everybody does. Nothing. Sit around under a tree. Probably do not much.